Hello everyone, very good evening and good morning to all. Thanks for joining. Let us start our today's demo session. First of all, I want to thank you for first of all, I want to thank you for this 100K subscribers on my YouTube channel. So please continue to watch all the sessions on SQL, PLSQL, Informatica, Power Center, and IACS. And I'm going to add Azure as well as Snowflake, all other cloud technologies as well. So from this time, the live demos, the live training sessions will be on the LMS portal, and you will get this particular LMS portal access. So from here, you can enroll for the course. So you can enroll it directly here, or you can contact me for enrolling purpose. So we will enroll for the course here. So if you enroll this course, so you will get the student access here. If you go to the students here, so then the dashboard, you will get the student access. So this is the LMS portal. I hope you can able to see my screen. And from this LMS portal, you can see the student dashboard here. So if you go to the enrolled courses, yes, you can see all the enrolled courses. So whatever the courses you have enrolled with NICIT Academy, so you will get this particular link. And then from here, you can access the course. It's a lifetime access. So we have given. So for the better better student experiences, so we have taken this particular LMS portal. And here you can, for example, if you have logged in with the IACS CDI or Azure, so whatever the courses you have logged in, so you will get this particular portal here. And here you will have the description, question and answer. You can raise your questions if you have after some time also. So then announcement. And so here, if you go to this recordings, yes, you will have the recordings, all the recordings. So whatever the courses we completed, the sessions, the recording will be available here. You can watch it from here. So recording, materials, assignments, so everything here, it will be available. So you can access it in one single point. So this one, I want to inform you before starting the Azure demo session. So everything will be on the LMS portal so that you will have better user experiences. So if you want to enroll for this Azure training, yes, you can go to this home button, then you can start enrolling. Okay, so this one. So let me introduce our trainer, Shreyas. So he will take over now. Shreyas, you can go ahead and then.
All right. Thank you so much, Chandra. First of all, am I audible to everyone?
Yeah, you are audible.
All right. I'll just share my screen. I think I do not have the sharing permission as of now.
Let me give you 1 minute.
Mhm.
Can you please check now?
Yes, I got it. I'll share my screen. All right. So, hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending upon where you've joined us from. And I would like to welcome all of you to this Azure Data Engineering training session demo, right? So today we are starting on a journey to the heart of modern data architecture, all right, which is all powered by Microsoft Azure. Now, as we all know, in today's data-driven world, organizations are going to rely on robust data engineering practices, all right, to extract valuable insights, drive business decisions, and to do innovation. They all are in search of data, all right, and that is the role, that is the job of a data engineer, right? And why Azure data engineering? Right, you will have this question as to why we should opt for Azure. If you want to become data engineer, can we not do it on other clouds, right? So Azure, let me tell you, it offers you a comprehensive suite of tools and services that empower data engineer. It integrates very nicely with a lot of big data tools, as you may have heard of them, right? Something like Synapse, something like Databricks. So it integrates really well with those uh, solutions or tools, right? You get scalable data pipelines, you get to manage diverse data sources, you can leverage advanced analytical capabilities which Azure offers. And whether you are tasked with the collecting data or cleaning and transforming data or storing data, right? All of these things you can do on the Azure portal at one place without any hassle, with ease, right? And that is why Azure is important. That is why cloud service providers are important, right? Now, going into the course, throughout this training, you'll gain insights and practical knowledge about designing and implementing data pipelines, how you're going to use data factory, how do you leverage data bricks, right? These are all the buzzwords which you would heard in the market today. These are all the buzzwords that corporates are using for hiring, for skill development. Azure Synapse Analytics, data warehousing, big data processing, Cosmos DB, Azure SQL database. And this is all that we will cover in this particular course. All right. By the end of this course, you would be able to answer any question related to any of these tools, any of these technologies with ease, right? So who should attend this course? Now, this particular training is going to be ideal for data engineers, for architects, for IT professionals who are looking to deepen their expertise in Azure data services. And whether you're just starting or you're seeking to enhance your skills to take it to the next level, this training session is going to equip you with the knowledge of hands-on experience, which is needed to excel in the Azure data engineering roles. All right. So as I said, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Shreyas, right? I am a passionate trainer with over 10 years of experience, and I am dedicated to empower each one of you, individuals and teams, with the power of cloud and data technology. And as a Microsoft certified trainer and a holder of 11 Azure certificates, I have had the privilege of guiding over 80,000 students on their learning journey on Azure. All right. My enthusiasm for cloud and data, it fuels my hunger to help others to unlock their potential in this exciting field. Now, whether you're a beginner or you're just looking to advance your skills, as I said, I'm here to help you with that knowledge and to provide you with the confidence to succeed. All right. So let me give you a brief introduction as to what we are going to cover today and what we are going to talk about today. And before that, let's just discuss certain points about this course that we're going to take. So as you all know, the course starts on 10th July. It's a 30-day program where you will have 1.5 hours of lecture every day. So the total duration of the course will be 45 hours worth of training. And as Chandra just showed you, you will have access to on-demand videos available with you all the time, right? So whether you did not understand a particular concept or you were not able to focus on a particular concept, so this particular training is going to help you to go back, look at the recorded lectures and finish off any missed point that you have had in the training, right? And on top of that, you're also going to get hands-on lab for 60 days. All right. So this is one of those trainings where you get hands-on lab. I don't think a lot of people are going to offer you this opportunity where they give you pre-made custom environment labs where you get the lab guide, where you get the lab documents, where you get support from the ease of having it all on the single portal with the lab files and everything, and you can do hands-on on each and every topic that we are going to discuss in this course. All right, so this is one of the biggest plus point of this course, that it is not just about learning the theory, it is also about getting on with the hands-on, getting your hands dirty, getting to know things and implementing it on your own. All right, now how this course is going to help you, we are going to go into the depth of each of the topics, right? We are going to start right from the basics, because I think that most of you are new to this field, or most of you would want me to start from the scratch, right? Making things easier for you. So therefore, we are going to start right from the scratch, and we're going to go into the depths of each and every topic. Now, this course that we're going to conduct, it aligns with DP 900 and DP 203. All right. So these are both Microsoft certifications, and whatever discussion we are going to have, whatever we'll discuss in this course today, it aligns directly with these two courses. So you can assume that by the end of this course, if you want to take DP 900 certification exam, if you want to take DP 203 certification exam, it is going to be a piece of cake for you. All right. So DP 900 is your Microsoft data fundamentals. And DP 203 is going to be your Microsoft data engineer associate. All right. So these two certifications, they hold a lot of value, right? They certify you. And what is better than the certification directly coming from Microsoft? Microsoft giving you the authority, right? Giving you a credential that this person is fully qualified, has the expertise in these two particular subjects. All right. So we are going to discuss all the industry relevant skill development. We are going to talk about the buzzwords. As I told you, we're going to discuss a lot in depth about data bricks. We're going to talk a lot in depth about synapse analytics, data lake, right? Data factory, all these terms, we're going to get into the depth of them, so that tomorrow, if you have an opportunity to, where you find an opportunity to work on these topics, you find it easy. It is not difficult for you. You know all the concepts already, and you will have hands-on expertise with Azure through the hands-on lab which we are going to provide to you. Now, flexible learning through recorded lectures that we have already discussed. Hands-on lab support, we'll provide you the labs for a validity of 60 days if you purchase this course. And towards the end of the session, we'll also hold a short exam prep session, where anybody who wants to take these certification exams, who want to get certified by Microsoft as a Microsoft Data Fundamentals or in Microsoft Data Engineer Associate, I will guide them one-on-one as to how they're going to take the certification, what is the process, how they're going to register for it. All of that support you will get from me. All right. And in the end, we'll also discuss interview prep support. We'll tell you as to what questions you can expect in the interviews when you go and interview for a data engineer role. All right. So one thing that Dale Carnegie, who's a brilliant American scholar, he said that learning is an active process. We learn by doing, right? Only knowledge that is used sticks in your mind. So until and unless you perform the tasks, you are not going to learn it, right? I can give you 1,000 hours of courses on how to drive a car, but until and unless you get on the driver's seat, you hold the steering in your hands, you're never going to learn how to drive. And that is what we are providing you with. We are giving you the hands-on labs. We have a total of 27 labs which you can perform, and those labs are on various topics like storage, data bricks, data factory, data lake, everything we are going to cover. All right. Now, as far as the agenda for the day is considered, we are going to talk about what data engineering actually is. We'll see what problem does data engineering solves, and we are also going to take a deep look into the market of data engineers. All right, we'll try to understand as to why, what is the reason behind data engineering being on a boom right now in the market, right? And When we understand as to why it is important, why is it a buzzword, we'll also see as to how this course is going to help you to achieve success in this particular field. All right, we'll try to understand today itself the different data roles, why and how is a data engineer different from a data scientist or a data analyst, right? So we'll try to differentiate on those lines as well. And then we'll have a brief introduction to the different data processing tools. All right, if you have time, we'll go into to uh, as many tools as we can. But in this course, as I told, it is Azure, right? So I am assuming, and that is my assumption, that most of you uh, are new to Azure, right? Uh, Maybe you can put it in the chat window. Is my audio clear now? I just Yes. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
maybe,
clear.
yeah. So
It's clear.
maybe, yeah. Thank you, Chandra. So maybe in the chat window, you can let me know what your proficiency level in Azure is. So I will assume that all of you are new to Azure. You've not worked with Azure before. You don't know what cloud computing actually is. So that is going to be my assumption when I start teaching you Azure data engineering, and that is why the primary focus that we're going to have in the beginning of the session, right, initial first couple of days or 3 or 4 days, is going to be teach you what actually Azure is. All right, I'm going to teach you what is Azure, and then only we can talk about different services on Azure, right? Because going for data engineer in Azure directly, the assumption is that you are familiar with Azure, you are familiar with the services it offers, the architecture, and the different cloud computing models, different cloud computing services. And trust me, they are not at all difficult to understand, right? And therefore, the first focus is going to be to teach each and every one of you about Azure to make you confident on the cloud computing scenario, right? And then we'll move towards data. That is when we'll start talking about data engineering. We'll start talk about what is data, what are the different types of data, how do you store data in Azure, right? What are the different services that Azure provides you to store data? So we'll go step by step. And as I said, my assumption would be that all of you have no idea whatsoever about Azure. Yes. And we'll start from there. We'll start right from the basics and we'll go up until the expert level and along with the hands-on practice as well. Right. So that will give you a complete understanding, right? Because if tomorrow you have to do hands-on lab, if tomorrow you have to work on the Azure portal, then knowledge of data engineering will be secondary. The first thing that you would need to know is what is Azure, right? How does it work? What is cloud in general? So that is something where our focus will lie upon to build the base, right? The stronger the base, the better the building is. And that is why we will cover the basics in depth. All right. Then when we talk about Azure, we go to data engineering, we talk about the current market for data engineers. We'll see what the growth of this particular role is, right? How is it growing? Why data engineering is one of the most high paying jobs, I would say, and at the same time, most in demand job, right? There is a big gap between experienced data engineers and the requirements in the market today. So to fulfill that gap, you need to have knowledge about data engineering, you need to have hands-on experience with data engineering. All right, and I will tell you as to how this course will help you to bridge that gap, right? And then we'll talk about obviously the different storage options as to how you're going to store different types of data, right? So some of you may know we have multiple types of data: structured data, semi-structured data, unstructured data. So Azure will provide a different service to store each and every type of data that is there. All right, so we'll cover all those services, how Azure is the architecture of Azure, how it is built to store that type of data. And then we'll talk about the different data processing tools. We'll see why data processing is required. in the coming few minutes. Now, so first, before we go into the market, before we try to understand why data engineering is required, let us first see what is data engineering. All right. And to say in simple terms, uh, today's world, right, the digital age today, you will see data everywhere, right? Every time you watch a video, every time you buy a product online, every time you interact with a post on the social media, you are generating data, right? With everything you do, you're generating data. Every day we are writing mails, we are sending messages on WhatsApp, right? And that is generating data, right? But how do companies, how do organizations, how do they turn this data, this vast amount of data that is there in the world, how do they turn it into useful information, right? And that is the entire learning journey that we are going to do. How do you convert, or how do you make raw data which is out there into something useful from which I can learn something, right? That is going to be our main focus in this entire data engineering journey. All right. And we'll explore what data engineering is. We'll break down the basic concepts of data engineering, and we'll see how it is used in everyday application, right? So to talk about it in simple terms, data engineering is like building a plumbing solution, right? If I just have to give an analogy first, to explain the concept to you, then you would see that, to drink water, all right, or to say to consume water, the water comes from a lot of different sources. Yes. So it can come from a lake, it can come from a river, right? Come from underground water, right? So we see that the sources of water are a lot. You can do rainwater harvesting and collect that water. So we have a lot of sources for water, right? And then you have to create a pipeline to transfer this water into a central place where you store it. Yes. And in the same place, you have water treatment where you clean and process this data, or process this water, correct? And that is when you send this data, water, to, let's say, a nearby tank or something from where it can be consumed, right? Very simple step. You have different water sources, you create pipelines, you collect it all in a single place, right? And then when you clean the water, because it is coming from lake, rivers, and god knows which places, you have to clean the water, you have to process it to make sure it is free of any unwanted substances, right? The water should be clean, there should be no unwanted substances in it, no germs, no bacteria, no sand particles, nothing. All unwanted things are removed, the water is cleaned, and then sent for consumption. All of you are able to understand this? And this is your entire data engineering journey. All right. Think of water as your data. All right. And there will be plumbers and technicians who will be performing all these steps: collection of data, cleaning of water, sorry, collection of water, cleaning of water, and then sending it to a place from where it can be consumed. There will be plumbers or technicians who will be working on it, and these are data engineers. Think of them as data engineers. All right, so now you understand water is your data, plumbers are your data engineers, and if you just replace water with data, that is the entire data engineering solution right in front of you. We have data in a lot of different places, right? So assume that there is a company who's manufacturing bicycles. Yes. Now they will have all sorts of different dealers. They might have a very small dealer somewhere in, let's say, a rural place, or they might have somebody in an urban space, and there can be a large, let's say, it's some organization like Decath, right? So Decathlon. Now, let's say the person in the rural areas is creating the sales report, right? Sales report, by sales report, I mean how many bicycles are being sold, right? If you want to generate that report, let's say the rural person is writing it down, all right? And the person in the urban stores, they have an Excel sheet for it. Yes. And somebody like Decathlon, they would be using a SQL database. Correct? Now, if the bicycle company wants to create a plan and wants to understand as to, which seasons they are selling more bicycles, which are the seasons when they are not selling a lot of bicycles, if they want to analyze those situations and they want to come up with a new production strategy, right? So when you have less demand, you will create less bicycles. When you have more demand, you will increase your production. If they want to understand that situation, if they want to create a solution for it, they need to collect data from all of these vendors, right? They need to be able to collect data from a rural vendor who's writing it down in a register. They should be able to collect it from an urban store, which is maintaining an Excel sheet, and they should also be able to collect it from Decathlon, who have a SQL database for it, right? They would be using some advanced systems. They would have their own softwares. They will have their own databases where they are storing that data. So now this organization, let's say its name is XYZ, it has to collect data from all different sources, right? And then once the data is collected, the process of cleaning the data starts, right? You have to clean the data, you have to process the data. Let's say, for example, the person in the rural areas is writing the date as MMDDYY, right? Somebody from the urban store has written it as DDMMYY, right? And then you have in the SQL report, it is stored as YYYY DDMM. So you see, this is not standard. There is no standard to this data. It is all in different types, shapes, forms. Yes. And we have to bring it to a unified form. That is the process of cleaning the data. We have to remove any unwanted data. Let's say the person in the rural area has mentioned the same sale twice. So we should be able to identify these redundancy. By redundancy, I mean duplicate data, right? And that is the process of cleaning and processing the data, which happens over here. So the company collects the report, cleans the report, standardize the report. It will bring all these different date types into a single format. Let's say they bring everything to MMDD and YY. So once everything is like this, all the other columns they match, you have a standard data. Your data is now ready to be consumed. And when I say consumed, it basically means we can now do study on the data. We can now study the data to find any relationship, if there is, between the season and the sale of bicycles, right? You can very easily say that during summertime, the sale of bicycles is either going high or it is going low, right? Because people don't want to walk a lot of long distance. Something like that. Some insights you will generate, right? So is this clear to everyone as to what data engineering is trying to sort? So the first step is always going to be data collection, right? So when you watch a video on YouTube, right, data about your viewing history is collected. Now, why and how will YouTube use that data? We will see in an example. So now we'll see or look at an example to understand why is this important? Why data collection, data storage, cleaning, analysis? What do we gain with that, right? And we'll talk about a very famous company. Everyone over here, you know the name of that particular company, and we'll try to understand what problems did that company faced and how it resolved those problems using data engineering. Now, something on the bottom of the screen, we have a lot of different tools to perform this collection, storage, cleaning, and analysis part. We have a lot of different services within Azure. So there is a service called Databricks that is used to perform all these steps. We have Data Factory, we have Azure Synapse Analytics, you have Azure Storage, which is used to store data, you have Data Lake, which is used to store data, you have Azure SQL, which is used to store relational data, and then you have Cosmos DB, which is used to store non-relational data. So don't get confused. There are a lot of service, but we are going to spend a lot of time on each one of them until and unless it becomes absolutely clear to you as to what these different services they do. All right. So now, what can be the everyday application of data engineering, right? If I talk about, let's say, online shopping. Yes. So the first step, collection. I will write just C. Collection means that they can collect data related to your products that you viewed, yes, or purchased. So why are they trying to collect this data? Because they want to see what the buyer wants. What are the buyers looking for, right? Now, second step would be to whatever data is collected in step one, to store it somewhere. All right. Then you are going to process that data with advanced algorithms. You are going to identify as to, let's say, for example, a geographical location like Mumbai, for example, Mumbai. Yes. People in Mumbai would be looking for a particular product more than people in other cities, right? So, for example, you have a lot of rains in Mumbai and Bangalore. So maybe the sale of umbrellas and raincoats are more in Mumbai and Bangalore. And that is the analysis which your algorithm is going to do. What are the users preference going to be? What are they buying more? Which location is buying which product more, right? So all of that analysis has to do in the processing step. And whatever insights that you get from this data, you're going to use it for your analysis. Through analysis, you're going to get those insights, right? So this is one of your uh, real life example where you can see how data engineering is being performed, right? Similarly, on social media, they collect your data. They collect data related to your post. What are you liking? Who are you following? What are you sharing, right? If you watch a certain type of content on Instagram or Facebook a lot, you will see that your recommended videos align with what you're watching. Yes, that is happening behind the scenes. If you search for a particular topic more, your YouTube suggestions are going to be filled with those videos. Yes. And how that is happening, it cannot be a coincidence that something that you like, you are being fed that particular content again and again. That has to be deliberate. That has to be by the organization who's sending you those data. Yes, because now they have learned your preferences. They have analyzed your data and they know what you like, and they are going to give you that so that you remain their customers for longer duration. Clear? So something very similar was faced by Netflix, right? So if we talk about Netflix, it's a leader in the streaming industry. Yes, you use Netflix to watch movies, you use Netflix to watch TV series, documentaries, and whatnot, right? Now, Netflix over the years, it has faced numerous challenges. All right. And these challenges, they require innovative solutions. Now, by leveraging data engineering, Netflix was successful to address these challenges. All right. And not only did it address these challenges, they optimize their operations and they increase their revenue as well. Right. So now let us try to understand what the challenge was. Right. So Netflix had a rapid growth, right? And that led to a vast and diverse content library. They had movies related to all genres, they had TV series relating to all genres, and they had a really large library to maintain. Yes, they had thousands of movies, thousands of TV series. Now, while this variety was a strength, this was supposed to be a strength because we are offering a lot more than others. But then managing this lot more data is also a challenge. And that is what Netflix faced, right? Now, how do they ensure that each of the user on their platform finds the right content? When I say right content, I am trying to say, how does Netflix make sure that the user finds the content that he enjoys? Let's say you're into horror movies or you're into comedy movies, right? And if Netflix is not showing you comedy movies, mostly you will just browse through it and you will leave, right? Sometimes you will just open Netflix, you will see what is there. You're not going to go into a lot of searches and all, and you will not find something to watch and you'll close it, right? So in that case, Netflix has to make sure that they're feeding the right content to the right person. Yes. Now, content discovery was a big challenge. Users had difficulty finding new content that they liked. This was one of the challenge which Netflix was facing. User engagement was also a challenge. There was inadequate recommendations, which led to lower user engagement and retention. When I use the word retention, what I'm trying to say over here is that people did not remain the customers of Netflix for a longer duration, right? So if I buy a subscription plan for a month and I buy it again on the second month, that means I am retained as a customer, right? But if I do not renew my subscription after 1 month, that is retention lost. The customer did not retain. Yes. So user engagement was a problem. There was data overload, right? They had massive amounts of data. They had massive amounts of data related to user interaction as well, right? So when you and I are watching Netflix, we sometimes add it to our you have this watch list, right? Where you can add movies which you may want to watch on a future day, or you may like a particular content. Yes. Or you may completely ignore a particular type of content. So all of this data had to be recorded. Yes. And then the final optimization has to happen on the content delivery side, where Netflix is feeding you the correct data, right? Now, this was the problem that Netflix was facing. And then it came up with a solution, right? And that solution was an advanced content recommendation system, right? So they turned to their data engineers. Netflix turned to their data engineers and they told them that, listen, we are facing this issue. Uh, we are not able to recommend correct movies to the correct users. We want to implement that. We want to make sure that people, whenever they log into our portal, they enjoy. Yes. And that is when the solution came, where data collection started happening. All right. So the solution involved, the first step that the solution involved was the data collection and integration part, where Netflix started collecting data from various user interactions. All right. They started collecting the data on their platform. Let's say somebody, what have somebody, some person viewed, what all videos has someone viewed, right? What did they search for? Did they give any rating to a particular movie, or did they like a particular movie, right? uh, did they rewatch a particular movie? Yes. Did they rewind a particular section in a movie? Yes. Now all of this data, numerous massive amounts of data, was collected, and this data was integrated into a centralized system where now they had to process it. Now when the data was collected, now we had to create an algorithm that would clean the data, that would process the data, right? So we started applying filters, we started creating models, we started analyzing user behavior, analyzing user preferences. All of that data was segregated, accumulated at one place, and then cleaned. All right. Every metadata like genres, actors, directors, you may be a fan of a particular actor. So your interaction with movies belonging to a particular actor were also recorded. And that is why even today you would see, if you search for movies related to a particular actor, the recommendation next time is going to be related to that movie, again the same actors, different movie, right? So if you search for, let's say, Shah Rukh Khan, and you're watching, constantly watching Shah Rukh Khan movies, so Netflix is going to recommend you Shah Rukh Khan movies. So not only they were collecting data related to the genre of the movie, they were also collecting metadata and processing it as to what actors do they like, or do they like movies which are directed by a particular director. Yes. And they used it to recommend similar content to what the user has watched before and what the user likes. All right. And the impact that this made was that now the users, the customers, they felt happy, they were satisfied. Whenever they went to Netflix, they could see recommendations which they liked, and they were enjoying the platform better than that they did before. All right. This introduced operational efficiency. Now Netflix was easily recommending the correct data to the correct person, or the correct movies to the correct person, and it resulted in better customer retention. All right. It resulted in better customer retention, which obviously means higher profits. If I'm able to retain any new customer who comes to me, and the new customers keep on coming, and I'm able to retain the older ones, that means I am on a growth trajectory. All right. So now we have seen what data engineering is, what are the different steps involved. We have an overview, we have an overview or an idea as to what data engineers do and what data engineering deals with. So now let's try to understand the market around data engineering. All right. So sum it up, whatever you see on your screen right now, data engineering is rapidly becoming the most important aspect of the modern economy. All right. In India, I'm just talking about India right now. The market for data engineering is projected to reach $127 billion by 2028. All right. That is what the projected data are. And it is going to grow with a compounded rate of 34% every year. All right. So data engineering, as I said, it involves designing the building system to collect, store, and analyze data. The market size is something which is exciting for us. All right. As I told you, it is expected to grow to $127 billion by 2028. The growth is phenomenal. The growth rate is phenomenal. It is around 34%, which is actually very high for a given industry. But why is data engineering growing is something that we need to answer, right? What has led to this massive boom in the data engineering section or the sector? Now, first of all, there is increased adoption. All right. When I use the word adoption, what I'm trying to say is that now more and more companies, more and more organizations, they want to, companies across various sectors, they're increasingly adopting data engineering, all right, to leverage data for their decision making. They want to use data. Now, if we have today anybody who's a cricket fan, I assume we have a few cricket fans over here, or a football fan, right? I'm just talking about generic, I'm talking about sports. If you love sports and you follow sports very closely, you will find that today, with the national teams or the, let's say, IPL teams, or when we talk about club football, with football teams, there is a team of data analysts. Yes, forget IT industry. It has, just a second. All right. Yeah, sorry. So what I was saying is, to forget the IT sector, it has now the data engineering has its root in every sector possible. All right. Just look at the sports sector, for example. Now you have data analysts who study the opposition, who study the performance of their own teams to identify as to what we are lacking, what can be done better, which particular department we are not performing, which particular department we are performing really good. And this data is then being used by coaches to help individual players. Yes, let's say they analyze data for Virat Kohli and they found out that he's getting out on a particular type of delivery. Yes, so a particular type of bowling action, or let's say a left arm bowler or a right arm bowler, is getting him out more consistently. So then this data is being studied and analyzed to find what is the problem. All right, and then the coaches work with those particular players on those particular weaknesses which the data analysts have identified. Right, similarly, uh, you have your restaurant industries. Right, now we have something like Swiggy, Zomato, and these companies are transforming the entire restaurant ecosystem. Right, and they're not doing it. Earlier we used to thought, right, in the earlier days we used to think that if a restaurant is having good food, it is doing good business. Yes, that is the only idea that we had, which is true today also. I'm not saying that a restaurant with good food can fail, but then there are instances where a good restaurant is also failing. Right, because they do not plan. Right, they're not making plans, they're not making smart business decisions based on the data. Right, you can make the best cake in the history, right, of baking, but if you are selling it in a place where the demand for cakes is next to zero, your business is supposed to fail. Yes, so every industry you look at, they are analyzing data. The future is data and the data analysis. And when I say data analysis, can data analysts do anything without clean and processed data? Can data analysts do anything without clean data? The answer is no. Nobody can do anything with the data until and unless it is collected from different source, it is cleaned and made available for analysis. Yes, and that is why data engineering is the most important aspect of whether it is data science, whether it is data analysis. Yes. So apart from that, the growth can also be attributed to the job opportunities. All right. So there is a report recently, last month's report, that there are over 50,000 data engineer jobs currently listed across different portals. All right. Now, when you say 50,000 plus jobs are listed on various portals, this means that they want to fill that position within a month or two. Yes. Nobody is going to say that I want a data engineer, but I want it next year. If they're listing it on a portal, it means that they want it now. Yes. So it's an ever growing industry. It has a lot of demand. The future prospects, as I said, looks very strong for data engineering. All right. And as the market continues to expand, the demand for a skilled data engineer is expected to grow. All right. Which will then offer you, as a skilled professional, a lucrative career opportunity. All right. And another reason, let's talk about another reason which has led to the increase of data engineers or the demand for data engineers is the digital transformation. We talk about digital India, we talk about everything becoming digital now. Whatever we used to do on paper, it is now digital. Right, everything is being digitized. So now this shift to the digital world can only be supported when every available piece of information is converted into data, right? On the cloud, yes, or in your on-premise environment. But then it has to go from any non-digital environment to a digital environment, right? And once that happens, it is your job. It is your job as a data engineer to make sure that the data is collected properly from all sources and kept in a single place and then cleaned and processed. All right. The growth of e-commerce sector as well and the online services, which have increased tremendously now, it has significantly increased the volume of the data that is being generated. All right. And since the volume of data is being or generators is being increased, therefore the need of data engineers will also increase. All right. And as we said, every decision in today's world is going to be a data driven decision, right? Companies are increasingly relying on data to make strategic decisions, to optimize their solutions, to optimize their operations and stay competitive in the market, right? So if I show you a graph here, this is the current market trajectory or the growth trajectory for the data engineering market in India. All right. So this shows you that from something under 20 billion, that is $20 billion, it is supposed to reach $127 billion in 6 years, right? So that is almost 6x in 6 years. That is the kind of growth we are expecting. That is the kind of growth that we are seeing. All right. So currently in 2024, it is roughly a $40 billion market here in India, which is thought to be become 3 times in another 4 years time. All right. Now, one more thing that you have to analyze before, let's say, if you want to make a decision of building your career in the data engineering side, is that is just the industry growing, or the job opportunities or the need for a skilled professional also increasing, right? So one thing that we have already seen is that there are currently 50,000 plus listed jobs related to data engineers right now on the different online portals. On top of that, if we talk about the US market, yes, if I take you to the US market, data engineer is the most trending job title. There is nothing beyond that. All right. All your UI, UX designer, developer, data scientist, video game designer, computer scientist, all of that is secondary to data engineer. It has an 88% year on year growth. All right. Now, we have seen that it is the top trending job title in the US. The Indian market size is increasing rapidly. There is a boom in the growth. We have seen why it is important. Now, what does that mean for you as a student? What opportunity does it bring for you as a student who wants to study data engineering? All right. Now, since there is a boom, there is going to be high demand for skills. All right. Who's going to fulfill that high demand? You. All right. The booming data engineering market means a very high demand for the skilled professional, and you as students who want to pursue this education and training in data engineering, you can expect numerous job opportunities with attractive salaries. All right. A Glassdoor report with me as well, which we'll see and analyze as to what salaries the data engineering jobs are providing. All right. Now, another benefit for you as a student would be to embark on diverse career paths. All right. So, data engineers can work in various industries. All right. Various industries, various technologies. It can be finance, it can be healthcare, it can be retail. right? Now, this diversity offers flexibility in your career choices. It gives you the ability to work in the fields that align with your personal interest, right? Which industry do you want to be associated with it? Now, if I remove non, if I just consider non-IT workspace for data engineers, in non-IT sector, more than 50%, 50% plus are data engineers. All right. So what I'm trying to say here is, if I just consider non-IT sector, 50% plus data engineers, they work in the BFSI sector. What is BFSI? Banking, finance, and insurance. So if you want to have an understanding as to which sector is demanding more data engineers, if not the IT sector, then it is your banking, finance, and insurance sector, because they also have to deal with a lot of data. All right. Now, apart from this, you as students will also have continuous learning and continuous growth. The field of data engineering as it is today is constantly evolving, all right, with new technologies, with new tools, new methods, or new methodologies to perform tasks. This dynamic environment that has been created around data engineering, it encourages you for continuous learning and to enable your professional growth, right? So for any new tool that comes into the market, any new technology that comes into the market, it is upon you to get trained, get certified, gain the knowledge, and then be available for the rising demand of data engineers in today's data driven world. All right. Now, just a minute. Hmm. Now, to talk about salaries as to what data engineers get. So, this is something that I got on Glassdoor, right? So, you have different levels depending upon seniority, depending upon the experience, right? So, in general, you start with data engineer, right? And that is almost 2 to 4 years of experience, or 2 to 3 years of experience. And the average salary for somebody with 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 years of experience is around 6 lakh to 15 lakhs. All right. I'm not saying that 6 lakhs is the 50 is the base salary and 15 lakh is the ceiling. It is where the average annual salary lies. All right. And when we talk about the term average, we all know that good companies, top companies, they are going to pay top money, and then we have a lot of organization who pay less, and that is why the average always comes down with experience, because not everybody can get 20 lakh 30 lakhs package, right? You have to work hard, you have to be skilled to get that particular package, and that is why this is the average salary. So you can expect somebody to be a data engineer and making 25 lakhs. That is also possible, right? It all depends on you, the amount of hard work that you put in, the amount of knowledge that you have gained, the amount of skills that you have developed, right? And then you have senior data engineer post, right, or a job title which is a mid-level post, and you can expect around 12 to 26 lakhs the average salary to lie between them. All right. And then you become a lead data engineer with an average salary which lies between 80 to 32 lakhs uh, per year. All right. So this, compared to other fields, right, like your full stack developer and all, this is a lot more, right? And it is a lot more because the concept of demand and supply. There is a high demand for highly skilled data engineers, and that is where the supply is lacking. All right. We do not have enough highly skilled data engineers in the market today. Clear? All right. So now I think you have a better understanding as to what this role or what this particular training can offer you with respect to your future, right? For your future prospect. Now let us try to understand how are these different data roles which you may have heard of. How are they different, right? We'll start with the first one, that is what we're going to study, and that is your data engineer over here. Now, what do they do? We have already discussed. They are like the builders, they are like the plumbers of the data world, right? They are going to design and build systems which will collect data, which will store data, which will clean data, and then which will move data from one place to the other. All right. Their end goal is that they ensure that data has been collected from different sources, data has been cleaned, and data has been now stored at a place in the standard format. All right. Their key responsibilities are like creating and managing data pipelines. We'll cover what pipelines are, but if I want to explain you in layman terms as to what pipelines mean, it means when you collect data from one source and put it to the destination, right, you're going to create a data pipeline over here that is going to send your data from one place to the other, right? The responsibility for a data engineer is also to set up and maintain databases where the data is stored, right? And then data is clean, data is ready for analysis, data is optimized. That all you have to take care of. What are the skills needed to become a data engineer? And somebody has asked in the chat as well. Yes, Python is required. Whenever you deal with data, whether it is data science, whenever you talk about AI, ML, data engineering, big data, data analytics, you are going to use Python. All right. So you should have basic understanding of the Python knowledge, right? Even if you don't have basic understanding of Python knowledge, don't worry. In this particular course, we are going to have a couple of classes where we'll discuss Python from very basics to an extent where, I think it will become easier for you to understand what is happening. Is that clear? That level of Python, I will teach you as to how you're going to do it, basics of Python. But then again, right, you have to build on top of that. You also need to have a little bit of SQL understanding as a data engineer. All right. And also for this course. Clear? So programming knowledge is where you need to learn Python. You should know Python. You should know database management tools like SQL, right? And then should know a little bit about clouds. That is your AWS, Google, Azure, right? Now coming to data scientist, right? What is data scientist? How is it different from a data engineer? Now data scientists are like detectives. All right. They want to find something. They analyze complex data and they want to find pattern. All right. When they try to understand the pattern, they see how data is related. All right. If I talk about, let's say, generative AI, this is also a buzzword. You all know what ChatGPT is. Yes. All of you heard of ChatGPT. Now, this is a Gen AI tool. And how it works? It works on machine learning models. And what do these models do? They try to understand the relation and pattern. What relation? Relation between data, pattern inside data. All right. Now, if you still do not understand what is the relation between data, what is the pattern? So just imagine that as a student, you're going to school, you're in nursery or playgroup section, right? That is where you get to deal with data first time in your life. Yes. How do you get data? You get it by learning A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Yes, you learn the alphabets. You ingest that data, right? Now you have to understand the pattern and the relations. How do different letters they combine together to form a word? That is something that you learn. Then you learn how do these different words they combine to form a sentence. Once you learn that, you will see how do you combine different sentences to form a paragraph, right? And then you learn how do you structure these paragraphs together to write a single article. Yes. So right from your ABCD up into an article, you learn the pattern, you learn the relation between those different datas. Yes. And that is the job of data scientists, to implement, to learn those patterns, and to create machine learning models. All right. They are going to use mathematics a lot, right? They use statistical methods, machine learning algorithms to make prediction. All right. That is how your chat GPT also works. It has been trained for, let's say, if you ask chat GPT to create an article, right? So it has been trained on all the available articles on the internet, publicly available articles. If you talk about GitHub Copilot, right, the tool which helps you to code, it has been trained on publicly available repositories on GitHub. Yes, so they have analyzed the pattern, they have analyzed the relationship, they have understood the syntax, they have understood how you structure a function, what is a variable. Yes, how do you return a value? They have studied all of that, and now when you ask them a question, they can generate the response for you because their learning has been completed. Yes, so that is the job of a data scientist. They analyze data to find trends and patterns. They build models that make predictions, right? Predicting, let's say, a consumer behavior, right? Now, the skills needed to become a data scientist are somewhat similar to data engineers, because when you learn Python, Python is something that you will always require. Yes. So for data scientist, it is statistics, mathematics, programming knowledge on Python, machine learning knowledge, AI related knowledge. Yes, that is what is required for them. Coming to data analyst. Now, data analyst is the next step of data engineer. These two I can say is related. And when I talk about data scientists and they create models and they want to train their models on data, where are they going to get this data from? Who's going to give them this data? Data engineers. All right. So when you are the one who's managing, maintaining, collecting, cleaning data, you are going to support each and every other functionality that is around you, whether it is data analysis, whether it's a data scientist who wants to train his model, right? Now, coming to data analyst, they are like translators. All right. If I give you, let's say my data engineer, he cleared the data and presented it in a CSV format. Now, in a business meeting, imagine you're sitting and I throw CSV format at you. Can you make any sense out of that data? Yes. Let's say it had 1,000 entries, and next to each entry, it was written whether they passed or they failed. Let's say I want to understand how many students passed, how many students failed in a college, and we have 1,000 students. Now, if I just give you the CSV file, are you going to be able to make any sense out of that data? The answer is no. And that is where your data analysts will come into the picture. And what these data analysts will do, they will create visualizations, they will create bars, bar chart, something that you would have seen, right? So that now it becomes very easy for you. You can see, okay, so this is the chart, this is the pass, this is the failure, right? So you can make decisions based on this particular available data now, that okay, see, we have the failure rate is also a little bit high, so we need to work on that. If the failure rate was very low, then you could have just accepted it, because that is, let's say, the general trend over the years. These many numbers of students are bound to fail every year, right? So data analysts, they make reports, they make visualizations, and their goal is to help the business to make informed decisions. All right. A data engineer is not going to make decisions. And that is something which you're going to see now. That what does a data engineer not do? We have discussed what will a data engineer do, what will it not do. So data analysis and interpretation is not the job for the data engineer. You are not going to be analyzing the data, interpreting the data. That is the job for data analysts. You are not going to make any business strategy or any decision related to the business. That job belongs to the business analysts. You are not going to build any machine learning models through data engineering. That job belongs to data scientists. And you're not going to administrate any database. That is the job for your database administrators to manage and maintain databases. Is that clear to everyone? All right. So the moment we hear the term data engineering, right? The first thing or the first buzzword that you will hear is ETL. Everybody has heard of ETL. The moment you start talking about data engineering, people will start throwing this word at you, ETL. Now, in the world of data, ETL is the process that we have been discussing right from the beginning. All right. Right from the beginning, the concept that we are discussing is ETL itself. Extract. It is extracting data. It is like gathering data, gathering ingredients for a recipe, right? These steps involved collecting data from various sources, like we discussed. The data can come from a database, it can come from IoT hub, right? Your IoT devices, they are constantly sending data. So data can come from an IoT device. It can come from flat files like your CSVs that we discussed. Yes, it can be from a web page. The data can come from a web page. And the goal over here in this particular step is to pull together all the raw data which is needed for analysis. All right. Now, data source, the data can come from multiple places, as we have already discussed. Uh, it can come from customer databases, sales records, social media feeds, anywhere, right? Now, the method which is used for data extraction, it can be done using different tools and techniques, right? So you can fetch data through SQL queries, or you can do it by web scraping the online data, right? And the next step is transform. So this means collect. Transform means clean. Once you collected the data, you are going to clean it, right? The transforming data is like preparing your ingredients. So earlier I told you that extract data is where you collect ingredients for a recipe. This is where you will, let's say, chop vegetables, you will clean vegetables. Yes. So this particular step involves cleaning, organizing, and converting the data into a format which is suitable for analysis. All right. So when I say suitable for analysis, it basically means there is no redundant data available. Yes, this data is all in a single standard format. Yes, as we already discussed, the dates cannot be in three different formats in the same file. It has to be brought to a uniform format. It has to be made into a standardized data, which can be used for analysis purpose. Yes. So the key steps here are cleaning the data, removing any errors from the data, removing any duplicates, any inconsistencies, to ensure that the quality of data is maintained. All right. The data that you're going to use to make business decisions is correct. And that is your biggest concern. All right. Once the cleaning has happened, now you start conversion, right? Changing the format so it is consistent. And then you have the final step, which is the load, where you put it all together. All right. Loading data is the final step where the transform data is loaded. Yes, it can be loaded into a data warehouse. We'll talk about what data warehouse is. We'll discuss that. Yes. So it's a large storage system Data warehouse is a large storage system where data from various sources is stored in a structured format. Please keep this in mind. Only structured data will be kept in data warehouse. Or when I say structured, I mean clean data. All right. Now, the loading can happen as either a batch loading, all right, where you load all the data at once, right? Or it can be incremental, where you go bit by bit, right? You're streaming data and batch data, right? So when I talk about streaming data, this is where the information is constantly updating. Yes, streaming data processing is where you process data as and when data comes. All right. And when I talk about batch processing, that is where you collect a lot of data and you process it at once. All right. You collect a lot of data and you process all the data at once. All right. So something like your NEF transactions, right? And streaming data processing can be your UPI transaction. So UPI transaction is done as and when it arrives. NEF transactions are done on in batches. All right. So every half hour, NEFT settlement is done. I hope everybody knows that. So when you NEFT money to a friend or a family member, it is processed every 30 minutes. So let's say from 12 to 12:30, they will collect all the NEFT transactions that have been requested, and they will process all of it at once. All right. But whereas UPI, it is processed as and when the request arrives. Instant. Right? IMPS, instant. Clear? So now we have seen what ETL process is. Yes. Why is ETL important? ETL is critical because it ensures that the data is reliable, right? You can trust the data. Your data is consistent. It is free from any errors. It is free from any duplicates, right? And the data is ready for analysis. All right. Without ETL, the organizations would struggle to make a sense of their data, which will lead to a very poor decision making process. All right. If the data which you're using for analysis is not clean, if it is not standardized, if it is not brought to a single format, then your decision making is going to be hampered. All right. And that is what makes this ETL process or the job of a data engineer very important. And that is why companies are looking for skilled professionals who can do this job with accuracy. All right. Now, if we want to talk about the real world situations where, or the real world applications of your ETL process, then you have business intelligence tools. Companies use ETL process to gather data from sales department, marketing department, finance system to get an comprehensive view of their performance, right? I have to get some relationship between my sales and marketing, correct? As an organization, you should be able to connect the dots from your sales to your marketing. How much marketing you did, how did it affect your sales, right? So you have to collect the data, bring it to a format, and then you can use it to analyze as to how the marketing spends has resulted into your sales, right? And then another instance can be healthcare system where hospitals are going to use the ETL process to combine patient records and different departments, right? So a patient can be under treatment from the cardio department and the neuro department and some other department at the same time. So all of their data has to be brought to a single place, formatted, cleaned, yes, and kept for analysis. All right. So now I think we have some time remaining. So as I told you, In this course, I will start from the basics of Azure. We will talk about data in Azure, which will cover DP 900 certification course. The entire DP 900 content we are going to cover. And then we are going to go into data engineering. All right. This is DP 203. All right. So I just want to talk to you about what is data. What do you understand by data? All right. And if you are able to explain what is data to me, then you should also be able to explain as to how it is related to information. Anybody wants to take a guess or answer that question? So the question is very simple. What is the difference between data and information? Correct. So I think we are a bit less on time. So I'll just quickly explain this to you. All right. And then we'll take your question and answers. Now, when I talk about data, this is raw data, numbers, facts. Yes, raw numbers. Data is just raw numbers. When you use these numbers and these facts to create some meaningful insights, that is information. All right. So you can analyze the temperature for a particular area over a period, and based on the values or based on the data over here, you can get some meaningful insight, like it is a heat wave going on, yes, or it is a cold wave, something like that. And then this information which says that, okay, now this is a heat wave, this is the information, this is some meaning out of the data, the raw numbers that were there. All right. So I'll stop here. I hope everybody enjoyed this short uh, demo session that we had. And now I would take all your questions. As to, if you have any questions for me, please go ahead and ask them. All right. And this was just a bit of glimpse as to how we're going to cover each and every topic. We're going to start right from the basics. And I am hoping that today I was able to make you all understand a bit about data engineering, ETL, data information, right? And the overall market which is built around data engineering. All right. So guys, please go ahead, ask your questions.
Yeah, Shreyas, thanks for
Mhm.
your detailed session. So you have the control to unmute the audience, as well as do you please quickly go through the syllabus which we are going to cover. The questions from students is like, are we going to cover data breaks? Are we going to cover ADF, all this, right? So just
Mhm.
quickly, maybe 1 or 2 minutes if you cover,
Yes, yes.
so
I'll
the
just
student will
open the
get.
file.
Yeah.
Just give me a minute.
So thank you all for your time. So please uh, stay here. We will take all your questions, interactive questions. We will try to answer all your questions. Please stay here.
Yeah, guys, I'll just do one thing. I'll show you the entire syllabus as to what all we are going to cover. And as I said, nothing would be spared. Everything that is a part of data engineering, that is a part of data fundamentals in Azure, we are going to cover that. So if you can see my screen right now, right? This is the structure that we have for the course, starting day wise, right? You will have introduction, we'll discuss about labs, we'll discuss about Microsoft Azure, right? Then we'll start with exploring the core data concepts. We'll talk about what is relational data in Azure and how Azure stores that relational data, right? Similarly, what is non-relational data and how Azure is going to store non-relational data, right? Because we need to have an understanding that which all services does Azure have related to different data types. All right, and then we'll talk about the fundamentals, because initially we'll be talking about fundamentals only. So if you see a lot of terms like data warehousing, data ingestion pipelines, don't think that we are going to have a high level conversation over here. I will make sure that you understand what pipelines basically means, right? So in future, if you hear the word pipeline, data ingestion pipeline, analytical data stores, Microsoft Fabric, you're able to answer quickly as to what that is, right? The fundamentals of real-time analysis, batch processing, stream analytics we'll cover. We'll also take a look at the basics of Power BI. All right, we are not going to go into the depths of Power BI, but we are going to see what is Power BI and why it is used, why it is important, and what benefits does it provide from other tools, right? We'll see data modeling, we'll see the concepts of data visualization, and then we'll move towards day 8 is when we start with the proper data engineering, the DP 203. All right. The first thing we are going to take a look at data storage in Azure. How does Azure store data? What different types of data can be stored in Azure? Blob storage, table storage, queue storage, file share. We'll not just cover the theory of it. I will also show you practicals as to how you're going to create file shares, what are file shares, what benefits they give you. Yes, we'll talk about SQL. We'll talk about Azure Synapse Analytics. And if you look at it over here, we have multiple days for Synapse Analytics, right? So we are not going to summarize Synapse Analytics in 1 day or 2 day. We have 4 days dedicated for Synapse Analytics. That is almost 6 hours of content on Synapse Analytics itself. Then we move on to Data Factory. Again, we spend a good amount of time on Data Factory, where we talk about extract, transform, load, the overview, how you're going to review or review the completed task, how do you copy data, right? Dropping table data, data flow debug feature, and then self-hosted integration runtime. And again, I'm saying, please don't think that these are going to be theoretical sessions only. We'll do hands-on live in the class. I will show you how it is done on the Azure portal. All right, then we go to the Event Hub, Stream Analytics. We'll do it for 3 days. We'll talk about Scala and Spark, where we talk about the basics of Python. This is where I will be discussing basics of Python with you, so that going forward it becomes easier for you to understand as to what we are doing, right? What we want to achieve, and that is when we launch Azure Databricks. We'll cover Databricks again for a lengthy duration. We'll see introduction to Databricks. We'll talk about key concepts. We'll talk about creating a workspace, managing clusters, loading and processing data from files, data manipulation, group by, visualization, date function, working with null values in Azure Databricks, data storage, saving to tables, reading from data lake, right? Processing JSON-based files, streaming data with Azure Databricks, and integrating it with Azure Synapse, right? And then we'll talk about data security as well, because when you're managing data, right, when you're cleaning data, when you're storing data, when you're transferring data from one place to other, it becomes very important for you to also manage the security of that data, right? Because there can be a lot of sensitive information in that particular data that you are processing. So therefore, data security is also one of the most important features. In Azure, we'll see how you can secure data through the Azure Data Storage Explorer, right? We'll see how you can grant access via Azure Active Directory, which is now called Entra ID. Yes, we'll see how you can manage access control list for your Azure storage, how you can create shared access signatures. Yes, to grant access to somebody to your storage account for a particular period of time. And we'll implement data security, and finally we'll end this training with monitoring and optimizing data storage. All right, this is where we'll talk about Microsoft Purview, which is again a new technology, a new tool that Microsoft has launched. And how does Purview integrate with Azure services? What is Purview? What does it do, right? The best practices for structuring files in Azure Data Lake, managing Azure Data Lake Gen 2 access. We'll see what is Data Lake Gen 2 and a normal storage account. What is the difference between them? What I'm trying to tell here is that we're going to cover each and every topic in depth and details. I am not going to give you an Azure account, all right, but I am going to give you labs. All right. So I have created an environment for you where you can log in and perform individual labs. These labs are going to be guided labs. You will have a set of instructions. If any resources are required to perform those labs, you will also have those resources there. Let's say, for example, you need a Python script to perform a particular task. So that Python script is not something that we are going to ask you to do. All right, because our priority is that you should be able to implement it on the portal. We are not going to teach you how to write Python script, right? But we are going to teach you as to how you're going to use those Python scripts and then integrate it with the Azure portal to perform a desired particular task.
Shreyas, sorry to
Mhm.
disturb.
Yeah.
We have one more question. After
Mhm.
completing this particular training, how much
Mhm.
experience we can challenge in industry?
Yeah. So basically, to start anywhere in the industry, first of all, you need to gain the skill set, right? And this is where we come in. We help you gain that skill set, right? So tomorrow, if you apply for a role, there can be entry level roles, right? So for a normal data engineer, those are entry level positions. You can apply, and then based on your knowledge, based on your skill set, based on your hands on expertise with the Azure portal, it will become far more easier for you to clear that particular, let's say, interview, or to get into that particular role. All right. As I said again, the labs here will play a great part in you developing those skill sets. Right. We discussed in the beginning of the session itself. If you want to learn how to drive a car, you have to get behind the steerings. No amount of lectures, no amount of teaching can actually teach you how to drive. All right. So that is where the lab support it comes into the picture.
So for everyone, we will provide the lab. Okay, we will create
Mhm.
account. So that this will be for next 60 days. You can practice complete as your data engineer role. And also, I
Yep.
want to tell you. So as of now, we are going to take this training on the same time, like 8 to 9:30 p.m. After 15 days, we planned for 7 a.m. in the morning. So 7 a.m. to 8:30 in the morning. So those who are in different time zone, you are not able to join the evening sessions. Yes, you can join the morning session. Like we planned after 15 days.
Yep.
Uh, So Shreyas, you have the control. Those who have raised hand, you can unmute and then you can take your questions, take the students' questions. And the audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Shreyas will take the questions now.
I am okay. So we have Srinivas. Yeah, Srinivas, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Or let me do it. Okay. So from my side,
Mhm. Hmm.
yeah. So I will. Yeah, Srinivas. Yes, please go ahead. Yes, you can go ahead. Ask your questions.
Uh, so there's a question in the chat window. It's from Prabhu Ramachandran. So no, the after 15 days, the evening class is not going to convert to morning class, but a new batch will be started for the morning class. Is that correct, Chandra?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, correct.
Yeah, yeah. So we're not going
Correct. And
to
also,
shift
yeah.
the timings. We are going
So
to
due to
introduce another
some
batch. Hmm.
Yeah, so due to
Yeah, go ahead.
some personal reasons, you are not able to join evening. Yes, we have flexibility to convert into morning. So either one batch recording, you will get it. So only one batch, not both. So both we cannot make it. So one batch we can make it.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yes, please
Yes,
go
yes,
ahead.
Charu.
So this is Charudatta. I just wanted to know, like, like how we can practice these things, like Azure Data Factory, Azure Data like Bricks, where we can practice these things
Yeah,
parallelly.
that is what. See, so for Azure, when I'll teach you Azure, I'll tell you that there is a practice account that you can create, all right, or a trial account, which is a free trial account. Now, to create that free trial account, you will have to put in your credit card details, right? And it is only valid for 1 month, and you get $200 of credit, right? So I have eliminated all of that, and I am giving you labs which contains 27 labs in total. All right. So if you want to see, I'll just share my screen and show you which all different labs you will get. All right. Just a second. I'll share my screen.
Yes, Shreyas. Oh, let me give you the access. You can quickly show them, okay, so that everyone will get idea.
I'm just sharing my screen. All right. So I hope you're able to see my screen.
No, not yet.
Not it.
Yeah. So now, yeah.
Yes. Just a second. Let me.
Yes. Now it's.
So all these labs that you see on your screen over here, all these 27 labs will be available for you to practice. All right. For each lab, you will get 10 attempts. All right. So it's not like you can practice one lab only once. You can practice one lab 10 times. All right. But the only thing is that you have to complete it within 2 months. So the access will be for 2 months. So explore Azure Synapse. If I open this, this is what you will get inside. They will show you what the Azure portal looks like, what all steps you have to perform, step by step guide it will give you. All right, like view the developer page, which is currently empty. This is where you can define scripts and other assets used to develop a data processing solution. So once we are done with Azure Synapse, you can go ahead and do these labs. So this is a step-by-step documentation of everything you have to do. On the setting step, enter the following settings and then click next. Task name, copy product, task description. So each and every set of instruction will be given to you, so that your first attempt or first couple of attempts or first 3 attempts could be where you are looking at these steps and performing, right? And then your fourth attempt, fifth attempt, sixth attempt to the lab could be where you want to test yourself. You say that you are not going to look at the instructions but to perform the task on your own. All right, and that is how you're going to learn. All right, to use Delta Lake. What is Delta Lake? We'll study, right? Use Delta Lake with Spark in Azure Synapse Analytics. So once we cover Synapse Analytics, you'll be eligible to go ahead and perform these labs, right? Then we have a lot of labs on Databricks, right? Analyze files in Azure Databricks, explore Azure Databricks, Delta Lake in Azure Databricks, Azure Databricks, use a SQL warehouse in Azure Databricks. Then you have lab automate an Azure Databrick notebook with Azure Data Factory. So you get a lot of options. There are 27 different exercises that you can do, and obviously that is going to give you a lot of hands-on expertise. You can follow the instructions a couple of times, and then going into the future you can try to do it on your own, all these labs. Is that clear? Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Can I ask one question?
Mm-hmm.
I am Oshit Bora. I am from Canada. Actually,
Okay.
I think thank you very much for the whole lecture. It's very nice. It's explained everything nice. My first question is just in the lab session, if I miss anything or if I'm not able to do anything, if I will able to get any online support.
Yes,
Lab.
yes, I will personally support you.
If I need any
Yes.
personal support after the lecture, after the 1.5 hour lecture.
Yes. You see, you have lab available for you for 2 months,
Yeah.
and ideally,
Sometimes
99.99% of the cases, you are not going to face any issues with the labs. Let
no,
me assure you of that.
yeah.
And if in case you face any issues, there is a document that I have created, right? Sometimes
I know
you need
this.
to reset the connection.
I know little bit of this document, but if it is not possible for me to to solve the problem, then I get any online support or after the
See,
class.
that is what the guide is right there in front of you. How
I
you're going
know.
to do the labs is right there, written there. Even if then
Okay.
you are unable to do it, then obviously you can connect with me.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hmm. So what we are going to do
Hi.
is, how we are going to structure it is that, let's say I completed a particular section in Databricks today. Yes. Or let's say I completed stream analytics. So I will tell you on that very day that go and perform lab number 17. And if you have any problems, we'll discuss it towards the end of the session tomorrow. So the next day when you come to me in the class, you are already done with this exercise number 17. If you are able to do it, well and good. If you are not able to do it, I will support you with that right after the class.
Okay, thank you very much. Because I try some things, but it's sometimes some issue came with this Azure data lake, data Azure. That's why I'm telling you this problem. Thank you very much.
No, we'd be happy to connect with you and resolve any problems that you may have.
Okay, thank you
Hello,
very
hi,
much.
Shreesh.
Yeah, hi.
Hello. Yes, is it any project over there so that we will practice it, or we will that means understanding the flow of the projects
Yes,
in the
see,
Azure?
so that is what the labs are like, a project only. Right? They come with a task. You have to perform that task using the labs. All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
So there is a problem statement, and then there is your solution to it. If you're unable to proceed with the solution on your own, right? Because I know that you are not familiar with Azure portal. Obviously, you will need support. You will need the guide. You will have to see as to where you have to go on the Azure portal, where the particular service is located, where the particular setting for a particular service is located. I know all of that, and that is why, uh, it. I will teach you Azure in the beginning. I will give you an overview of the Azure portal. How does it look like? Where you can access the service? Some basic services I will show you also, that how you create a virtual machine, how do you create a storage account, how do you create, and we'll be using Azure portal a lot throughout our discussion in the session. So you will also have an idea as to where that particular service is, what happened in the class today, where do we have to go, how do we have to implement a particular task, so that when you're doing the labs, you can do it on your own. If you're unable to do it on your own, you have the flexibility to look at the documentation, which will be there on your screen itself. All right. The lab guide is right there on your screens.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Shesh.
Hello.
Hi.
Rajesh here. Hello. Shreyas,
Hi,
like,
Rajesh.
since I'm from the testing background, so with an ETL testing experience, so how would the Azure can help me? And since I'm interested to take up, but what are the prerequisites that I need to hold before taking up?
See, for Azure, I would say that Azure is one of the most used technologies or most used cloud platform, and that is why having knowledge about Azure is very important. All right. So ETL testing background you have, but then again, with this course, you can take your career to the next step where you can start working as a data engineer, right, from scratch, and then you can grow in that particular career itself.
Okay, since
But
Python is majorly required, as you said, so would it be
can you repeat? I lost your voice in between.
since Python is I mean
Ha, ha. So I
level
was going to talk about
technology.
it. The prerequisites involve you to have some basic understanding of Python, some basic understanding of different Python libraries like pandas, yes, and then a little bit of understanding about SQL. That is all which is required.
Those will be covered in the sessions as well, right?
The basics will be covered, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
But
hello.
Hi, Shreyas.
yeah, hi Usha.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the session. I would like to ask that what is the difference between this Azure data engineering course and the Informatica IICS training that we see before us? If you could provide a basic overview, and how are these two different from each other?
See, I think for Informatica, Chandra is in a better position to explain you. From the Azure perspective, I would say that both Azure and Informatica are data engineering tools which can be used for data integration and other purposes, right? Azure, I can talk about Azure. It is designed to be very highly scalable. All right, it allows users to scale up or scale down their data integration workloads based on the demand. Azure also provides auto scaling capabilities, which is going to enable you to dynamically adjust to handle varying workloads. Then we have inbuilt services in Azure which are going to support you with your data engineering tasks. All right, whether it is so you have Azure Data Factory, right? You have Azure Synapse Analytics, you have Azure Databricks. So these are all services within Azure which are going to help you in each and every step of your data engineering journey.
Okay.
All right.
And
So
what?
maybe Chandra would like to add
So
to
yes,
the
Shreyas. So
Informatica.
to answer the question, how it will differ from IACS. So IACS is completely like Informatica Corporation. They are maintaining the similar way how Azure has developed the services, right? So Informatica also is like one of the competitor for this data engineering as well as ETL. So ETL, if you take ETL, so we have everything like a no code and low code platform. It's IACS is nothing but no code and low code. It's like there is no Python script, there is no any other uh, languages, programming languages knowledge is required. So you can drag and drop the transformation, and then you can do the similar kind of transformation logic. Everything is there in ADF also, Azure Data Factory as well. So we can do. So in addition to that, we have other services in Azure. So, but both are like a competitor. So whatever we are learning, so we have to be master in that particular technology. If you take in our company, so as I have already mentioned, we have two different stack. One is like Informatica with Snowflake, that is our IACS with Snowflake. Another one is Azure. So both platform we have. Yeah, some application is running on Azure, AWS as well as IACS as well. So like everything it's on the cloud. Yeah. So all these technologies are used in the real time.
Okay.
So, but
And
whatever
what?
we are learning, so we have to be learn. We have to learn completely like 100%. We have to be in the master.
Yeah, got it, Chandra. And what do you suggest regarding what cloud services we should go for? As you said that AWS is also in demand these days. So, would you like to suggest?
Yeah. So even if we are taking the profile for our projects, right? So the for what the client is expectation, the client is expecting like at least they need to have complete knowledge on the cloud. Like even if it is Informatica, yes. So Informatica with the Snowflake, yes, we have a lot of demand, right? So because Snowflake is the target system, and even Snowflake as well, we do have the transformation logic. So how we are creating the Azure data engineering, the similar way Snowflake as well, we have the data engineering. Yeah, some projects, yes, they are using Snowflake for creating the data pipeline. Some stack we are creating the Azure data pipeline as well, an Informatica pipeline as well. So that is what the expectation from the client, and we need to have a cross skilled. So yes, we need to have that particular skill set. So whatever we are learning, yeah, we learn completely. Like so, if you take so everybody is working professional, right? So if you take any organization nowadays, so all these competitors are coming into place, like Azure, AWS, and Snowflake and GCP. Like everybody is there, and then even the reporting tool as well, right?
Yeah. And Shreyas, will you conduct this training in August?
Yeah. So we will
Sometime
we will take that
August.
forthcoming sessions as well.
Yeah.
And I have one more questions related to this lab. Shreyas, one question actually. So for the student perspective, so will you cover the lab we are providing? Will you cover that trial account creation as well? So that
See, so yes, they can always go ahead and create a trial account as and when they want. right? There is not much
Yes.
that goes into it. Once you create the trial account, you will have $200 worth of credit in your Azure account, which will be valid for 30 days, right? So rather than going there and being a newcomer to the Azure portal, I would suggest you first complete the labs. Once you are done with the labs, if you want to implement any one of your solutions on the cloud, if you want to see, that is when you can go ahead and buy a trial account and try it out. But beginning, please go ahead with the labs itself. Try to complete the labs. Try to complete it as many times as you can to have a better understanding of the Azure portal, right? Because when we talk about
Yes,
Azure
correct.
data engineering,
Exactly.
then
So
first thing that you should know is data Azure itself. Yes, Chandra.
yeah.
Sorry.
So actually, yeah. So even in IACS also, I used to tell for that AWS and Azure, whatever we are creating the trial account. So we have to be very careful. So because we are including our credit card information, so we are crossing the threshold limit, so they will charge from our card. So that's the reason we are giving the lab first. So then once you have familiarized with the account and so the resources and everything, so then you can create a trial account. So after the training as well, and then you can proceed. So that as well will support.
Okay. Shreyas,
Krishna,
Hi,
I'm
Shreyas. Syed
currently.
here. Can you take up questions from others as well?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, this is Syed. So my question for Shreyas is like, after completion of this course, right, Azure Data Engineering, so can we crack interview with 4 to 5 years of experience as an Azure Data Engineer?
That totally depends on you, right?
Yeah, the
That depends
information
on
we
you.
gain and the hard work we put.
Yes. So
Yes.
see, that is totally dependent on you as to what level of skill set you develop post completion of this training. Because see, as a trainer, I cannot make you learn concepts. As a learner, it has to be your responsibility to go through whatever we have discussed, to be enthusiastic in the class, to be ready to learn, to be ready to implement those concepts, right? So again, I'll say it depends totally upon you. But yes, when you go to the real life situations, you need to have some level of experience, right? So I cannot commit you that you can clear very easily 4 to 5 years of experience worth of jobs. But if you have that knowledge, then why not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Sayed. So to answer your questions, yes, definitely. So you have to put your effort for next 2 months. If you put the similar way, okay, so what we have already covered, definitely you can get that knowledge. You can make yourself as your data engineering role. So even in our real-time project, right? So those who are directly coming from other background, we are giving the training, so internal KTs and everything, then we are converting them as a data engineer. But here it's like a completely Shreyas is going to uh, train you. So after that, definitely you will get complete knowledge. So with that, you can definitely gain uh, the experiences. You can go to that level. So that is what I can assure. But the thing is, you need to put your effort. So you need to be very regular to the sessions, and yes, you have to learn on daily basis. It's like a systematic way of learning.
Yeah, understood. So once after completion of the lab practice and continuous efforts, right? So the questions which will be asked in an interview perspective, right?
Yes.
In a real time, real time
Mhm.
perspective, right? Can we able to answer those?
Yes, that I can assure you that you will be
Sure.
able to answer if you are putting in the effort, if you are covering everything that I'm teaching.
Mhm.
And also as I told you, we'll have a discussion on what type of questions will be asked from each topic in the interviews, right? So some familiar questions, some regular questions are always there, and we'll make sure that we cover them first, so that if you go to any generic interview, those basic questions at least which is asked everywhere, you're able to answer them absolutely correctly.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, Shreyas. This is
Shreyas. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
Sujit.
hi, Shreyas. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. So Chandra, hi. Thank you first of all, thank you so much for this lecture, right?
Yeah, thank you,
So
Sunil.
yeah. So I'm already working as an Informatica developer, right? Just my question is that, so I'm adapting this Azure Data Engineer course, right? So I'm learning this Azure course here. So I just want to ask you one question. So what's a new skill I'd want to adopt in this course, right? So like I need to learn Python, Synapse, like this one.
Yes, so as I mentioned, the only prerequisite is basic understanding of Python and understanding of SQL. Rest all we'll cover.
Okay, only basics, right?
The basics.
Okay, so there is a 30 days trial account, right? On the whatever we open, I create one account on Azure portal, right? So they give a 30 days credit, $200 credit, right?
Yes.
So daily I need to delete my resources there and create new one on daily basis, or is
Yes,
there any
so
subscription fee for
that
this?
is something we did not discuss. I am not encouraging anybody to go ahead and create a free trial account. All right, the labs that I will share with you, you don't have to create or to focus upon deletion of resources as well. They come with number of attempts, so each attempt will be valid for 1 hour, and each lab will come with 10 attempts. All right, so you have to make sure that you complete the lab in one sitting. If you do half lab, leave it like that, and you come 1 or 2 or 3 hours later, then that particular single attempt will be gone. You'll be left with 9 more attempts for that particular lab.
Okay.
For each
So
lab. So
I can
27 labs, 10 attempts each, 270 attempts.
Okay, I can log in there and 10 times, right?
Ha.
Yeah. Okay. So last question from my side, right? Yeah. Hello. I'm audible?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So last question from my side, right? So suppose I complete this training, right? So you fully support me for the interview and all these things, right? Just one thing. Suppose it's 22,000 fee, right?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. So suppose can I attend this lecture from morning and as well evening lecture also?
So both we cannot provide. So because it's a LMS portal, we cannot give for two different access without the payment, right? So we will make any one sessions, okay, only one. So because some reasons, if you are not able to complete the morning, so yes, you can join the evening, but that is for only for students who didn't make it for the morning sessions or evening sessions. Yeah, we will discuss more on personally. So what is the scenario? So then we will take it up.
Okay, so
How soon you're starting the morning batch, Chandra?
Yeah. We are also starting morning batch.
Morning is
maybe
the
after,
IST morning, right?
yes, IST morning. So all the timings I'm saying IST morning. So as of now, we planned for 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST. So after 15 days, we will start with the same training for morning 7 to 8:30. So that we planned.
And so in this course, right? So you are learning, you are teaching like us like is Azure SQL or anything else database?
Yeah. We'll talk about Azure SQL database. We'll talk about MySQL. We'll talk about Cosmos DB. We'll see all these different databases, right?
Only basic level, right?
We'll work with these databases.
Yes.
The expectation is that you know SQL, right? And I will tell you, yes. So if you know SQL, I will teach you how you're going to use SQL in your data engineering purposes, how you're going to integrate with databases, right? How you're going to create those pipelines. So all of that discussions we'll have.
Yeah, I will take an admission, then we'll discuss on offline then.
Any machine learning course is available like in this one, like part of this one? Or?
For data engineering course, we do not have any topic related to machine learning.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Hi, Shreyas.
Hi, Shreyas. I have a question.
Yes.
Hope you're able to hear me well.
Yes,
okay, thanks, Chandra. Yeah, thanks, Chandra and Shreyas.
Thank you.
I'm having, I'll start with my question. So I'm having 10.6 years of experience overall. Started with Informatica Power Center and then with cloud data integration and cloud application integration, having project experience as well. But now my CTC is around 32 LPA. So I'm looking for a change at the moment, but I feel this is the right time to upskill myself, but I didn't get an opportunity to learn on cloud. So wonderful space where through NIC IT I can upskill myself on Azure. But only thing which is disturbing me is I'm not just having less experience like 2 to 3 years, but I have 10 plus, right? So if I come from Power Center IACS to Azure and put the hard work of whatever the ETL data, ETL space of how we implement here. I don't have programming knowledge, but if I put my effort, I hope I can clear the interview as well. But the only point is, would be able to. I saw in the Glassdoor slide deck which you showed, Shreyas. It was really good. But for me, I think since I have more experience, so what is your thought process?
Yes, Vinod. So to take your questions, okay. So whenever you are going for any interviews for 10 plus years experience or 14 or 15 plus years experience, the customers, the client will ask the previous skill set as well as the current one, right? So whatever we are learning here, definitely we are also making ourselves like AWS and data engineer and this IACS, Snowflake and everything. So that, we are not having complete Snowflake 10 years before, right? So just a Snowflake we are learning and then we are working on the Snowflake and this Azure as well. So even we got the training from our directly from Microsoft for Azure as well as Snowflake also. But their training will be very high level. Their training will be very high level, and so whatever the training here we are taking here, so that will be like from basic level. We will focus I focused on IACS training. There is a complete package. The similar way, Shreyas also will focus on the Azure data engineer role or complete role. And we planned going forward. We planned for Snowflake as well. Myself is going to take. The thing is, yes, being in the cloud environment, we need to have this cross skills. For your questions, yes, definitely you can get the knowledge on Azure as well as say IACS and Snowflake also going forward. So with that, so whenever you are going for any interviews, 10 plus or 15 plus or anything, so we are like a data solution architect or data architect level, right? So that level we need to have the cross skills. Definitely, it will help you to whatever we are spending the time, whatever we are spending the money, so that will pay you. So don't worry. We need to put systematic effort. That's it. So whatever we are learning today, yes, definitely it will help us. So whenever if I'm going for any interview or any client I interview, the client will ask, "Have you done any certification on the cloud? Azure, have you done?" If I'm asking like some project on Snowflake, my manager and client manager will ask, "Have you done any certification on Snowflake? So can you show me that what certification you have done?" Right? So that's a question they will ask. To complete the certifications, we can check some dumps and then we can complete. But what is the knowledge we'll have, right? So that is very important. So that we will take it up. So 10 plus years experience. Yes, we need to be very confident on these technologies. That I can say. So everything is like going to be a cloud. So as Shreyas already mentioned, 2028 we have very much growth, right? So Azure as well, Snowflake as well, AWS as well, like competitors. Whatever we are learning, we should be in the master. That's it.
Also, Chandra, if I would just may add to whatever you have said. So, I'll just give you an analogy,
please.
Which I use a lot during my session. So, if you are a batsman, right, and I'm going to teach bowling, that does not mean that you have to leave batting and learn bowling. That will make you an all-rounder, right? So the more you learn, you're just expanding on your existing skill sets, right? And definitely that is going to make you stand out when the companies are looking for somebody who is having diverse field knowledge, has experience with a lot of different tools and technologies. So that is going to make you stand out, right? That is not going to take away whatever experience you have already.
No, I mean, the reason why I asked is because I have given almost 3 to 4 interviews previous week, and I'm clearing all the interviews in Informatica Cloud, data integration, application integration. But I go to the final round, and then in the HR round, they are not happy with the current CTC and what they can offer, at least 20 or 30, which is 40 or even 45 also, they're not ready. So what I thought is, it is because of the market situation. It's not because of the Informatica tool.
Yes.
Maybe if market comes after the US elections, or maybe after 2-3 months, it will come up, but I cannot wait until then, right? So what I was thinking is, maybe if this is a right chance, I don't know whether self-paced study is there. It's not it's the first time which is happening in NIC, right? So it's not self-paced study. It's not present, right? It's
No,
live.
Yes, it will be live, but you will have access to the recorded lectures.
Okay. No, what I meant was,
Yeah,
okay,
it will be added. It will be added, Vinu.
It will be added later, right? Okay.
Yeah,
At the
yeah.
moment you have live trainings. So it's going to be 30 into 30 days, right? Completely from July
Yes,
10th,
30.
right?
Yeah, 30
30
into
working
15.
days. Yes.
Yes.
1 hour each day?
30 working days.
Yeah.
Okay.
1.5 hours.
Okay.
Okay. 1 hour, yeah, session. Yeah, we will take the questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
hi Suresh.
I thank you so much. Yeah.
So I have one question. So these
Yeah.
labs include all the real-time scenarios, right? Like whatever we work in the
Yes,
real
yes.
time.
You will have a situation. You will have a set of instructions to how you're going to perform that particular task.
Okay. But is that exactly like in the
So, for
actual
example,
environment?
I'll just tell you. For example, let's say the lab is related to Azure Stream Analytics. All right. So the exercise name would be mentioned in the top itself. That let's say in this particular exercise, you are going to provision an Azure Stream Analytics job in your Azure subscription, and then you're going to use it to query and summarize a stream of real-time event data and store the result in Azure storage. Now, this is the entire architecture of the lab explained to you. All right. Now you have to perform the steps that are necessary to achieve this, right? And if you know it, it's good and fine. If you don't know it, we have the live guide, a lab guide right next to you on the same screen. You can go through the guide and you can follow the steps and do it once or twice. As I said, you do it through the guide, and then you will get a hang of it, and then you can do it on your own as well.
Okay. If you are stuck anywhere in between, is there any help we can get?
Yes, yes,
later?
I will be supporting you.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's
Hi
all my
Suresh.
question.
Hello. Yeah, hi
Yeah.
Suresh. This side, right, sir. Yeah,
Yeah, hi,
actually, I'm already working with the ADF, and we have recently migrated from SSIS to ADF. Okay, so this we have restricted to ADF only. There is already one Azure engineer we have. There he is looking after all the that function of logic and everything he is looking. I'm just handling that ADF part only, that creating and pipelines and all. Okay, so how this course means, I'm just looking bit detailed course, like I wanted to learn all these things, that lift and shift of the SSIS, then integration part, and this power query, data flow. Are we going to cover all these topics? Because I'm interested all these things.
Yes. So to answer your question, the course that we have created, or the, let's say, the table of content that we have created, it aligns specifically to your Azure Data Engineer certification. That is your DP203. All right.
Okay.
So whatever is necessary to clear your DP203 certification will be discussed in this class. Right. I know there are a lot of tools outside. There are a lot of technologies that you can work on while talking about data engineering. Yes, we can go ahead and talk about Hadoop. We can go ahead and talk about PySpark, and we can discuss it all day, right? But then we'll not be able to cover what is specific to Azure. All right. And since this is not a Databricks course, not an Azure, not a Azure Data Factory course altogether, so we are going to take a look at everything which is required to clear this certification. All right. So the end goal is that everybody gets to know about Azure, what are the different services in Azure which help you with data engineering. And at the end of the day, if any one of you wants to go ahead and write the certification exam, you can very well go ahead without having to work any harder, without having to study something from supplementary material somewhere else. This course should be enough to help you get that certification.
Okay. Okay. So we are covering all the broad concepts. Okay. Got it.
Shreyas, sorry to disturb. I have another meeting. Okay. So thank you all for joining. So I will leave now. So you can continue. And yeah, we have other moderator to handle it. So I'm just leaving. So others, if you have any other questions, please always reach out to me. I will help you out. So thank you all. So we will meet soon in the training sessions. Shreyas, please continue. Sorry,
Mhm.
you take
Thank
all the
you.
questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you all.
Shreyas, I have another question.
Mhm.
Is there Azure data engineering course? Do you include any ETL testing? Actually, I have a background of software testing, automation testing, but nowadays everyone wants the ETL testing also. So, do you have any things with this course about the ETL testing?
See, so the course covers ETL testing to a certain extent, but it does not focus on it completely, right?
I know that, but do you have any lecture related to ETL testing, how to test, how to write the test script and others?
Not related to testing itself, but yes, we do cover a lot on data quality. We cover designing of data pipelines, which may be of a bit of help for you. Right.
Thank
So
you.
for DP203, we don't go deep into specific ETL testing tools. We are going to cover importance of testing data pipelines for any quality related issues.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Shreyas.
Hello. Yeah, Guru.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. So thank you for this wonderful lecture. So I just wanted to ask you one thing. So you have said about this DP203, right? This certification course.
Yes.
Certification.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so and then this course is aligned to this certification in the perspective of clearing the certification. Okay, if we have completed this course with all the proper work that as a students we have to do, will it like to the industry standards, like most likely they won't be all the industries won't be requiring us to be master in all the parts of Azure, right? Like they don't want to be part in master in data bricks and some other tools. Some specific service only they wanted us to be a master, like. So
Yes.
will this course will be help us to be a master in particular service alone, like that? Can we showcase ourselves as an master in particular service rather than I'm a whole package with the basic knowledge on everything? I have a master in certain services. Will this course be that?
See, so to answer your question, I think if tomorrow I go ahead and create a course on Databricks, right? Just Databricks, I can create a 25-hour long course on it, right? I can go ahead and create a 20-30-hour course on Azure Data Factory itself. So when you talk about specific services or specific tools, then obviously there is no limit as to how much you can discuss and how much you can practice and how much you can deliver in a particular training, right? But what we are going to make sure in this training is, if we say Databricks, if we say Azure Data Factory, so you should have at least basic to let's say mid-higher or even advanced, I would say even advanced level of knowledge as to how these services work within Azure. All right. And through labs, you are going to get hands-on experience where you will get complete knowledge about them. But then again, to answer your questions, we can have a SQL training session for 3 hours or 4 hours also, where you will learn SQL, and we can have it for 30 hours also. Right. So we are not going to get into the depths and start nitpicking the entire topic itself and not cover it for 20 hours or 15 hours or 10 hours, but I will make sure that for 6 hours or 7 hours that we have covered the particular topic for, you get a really good idea about it and you are thoroughly clear with the concept at least. And then obviously with hands-on you have a full understanding of the concept.
Thank you, Shreyas, for that. I have additional question. So you said about two certifications, right? DP900 and then DP203.
Yes, yes.
Is it mandatory for us to clear DP900 to enter into DP203?
Nothing like that. See, so I'll tell you why I have added that course. Now, if I start, see the expectation, if you today go to the Microsoft website and you search for DP203, they will say that it is good to have DP900 experience, right? And when you go and study DP900, they will tell you that you should have some level of experience with Azure, right? That is your AZ900, that is Azure fundamentals. Now, if you don't know how Azure works, if you don't know how the fundamentals of data in Azure, if you don't know that, right, I cannot directly start with DB203, right? So we have to get into the basics. We have to start with the fundamentals, and that is why first day I will tell you about Azure. I will tell you different services, different cloud models. Most of you will already know what is public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, or you will know what is infrastructure as a service, software as a service, platform as a service, right? And then when specific to Azure, we see terms like availability groups, availability zones, right, or availability sets. And then you see a resource group, a management group. What is an Azure subscription? So all this knowledge you should have before you go ahead to the Azure portal and you start talking about data engineering in Azure, right? So that knowledge you will get through this particular course. I'm going to start from the basics. I'm going to tell you basics about data in Azure. Data fundamentals will cover all of that, and then we'll start with data engineering.
Hi, Shreyas. My question is, so what are the things covered in the ADF and Synapse Analytics?
So we'll cover ADF, we'll cover Synapse Analytics, we'll be covering Azure Databricks, we'll be covering IoT
Yeah,
hubs.
I know, but in ADF and Synapse Analytics is I required to grab the things. But in ADF, what are the things you will be covering? Like all the things like transformation, everything will be covered.
I'll just
So
share this.
you're just giving a brief about it or how?
Just a second.
Yeah.
So whatever we have mentioned over here related to Data Factory or Databricks, I think this document will be shared with you. So you can go through them yourself. I think sharing has again stopped for me. So when I talk about Data Factory, we'll talk about the ETL process in Data Factory. We'll talk about the overview. We'll start with the Azure Data Factory, review completed tasks, source data types, changing source data types. We'll talk about copying, the copy data activity, understanding mapping data flows, dropping table data, data flow debug features. We'll talk about self-hosted integration runtime. We'll talk about Azure Data Factory and Git integration, right? And then we go to Databricks. We'll talk about the introduction, key concepts, creating a workspace and managing clusters within Azure Databricks, loading and processing data from files, data manipulation, group by visualizations, date functions, working with null values, data storage, saving to tables and reading from Azure Data Lake. All of that we'll cover. We'll cover processing of JSON based files as well using the copy into command. We'll cover streaming data with Azure Databricks. We'll talk about integrating with Azure Synapse, reading and writing data. So all that we are going to cover, right? So I think this file will be shared with you. If we come to Synapse, we'll talk about Synapse. We'll talk about the costing aspects of Synapse. We'll talking about creating and managing Azure Synapse Workspace. We'll talk about serverless SQL pool and opening data. We'll talk about working with Microsoft Entra ID and permissions, right? We'll talk about external tables with CSV and Parquet files. We'll talk about open row set with JSON files. We'll talk about managing and using the dedicated SQL pool, right? So all of that we'll cover. So to answer the questions, I have just listed a few items, but when this document is shared with you, you can just map it to whatever requirements you have.
Shreyas, sorry, you can share it now. Any if you want to explain it screen.
No, I've already I took all the names of the. It's fine.
Thank you, Shreyas.
Hi, Shreyas.
Your voice is breaking a lot.
Hello?
Try
Can you hear
speaking
me?
again.
Hello?
Yeah, it's better now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Better,
it's
right?
better
Okay.
now.
So, okay. So, Shreyas, I don't have a programming knowledge. Only during my MTech days, I did in my graduation day. It's been 10 years, but I did only shell scripting, Unix shell scripting in the past 10 years, or bash scripting I've done. But on the learning from the Python and integrating whatever we do, right? Like the way how we do by using shell scripting, same, I think more or less you might use Python, but would it be easier to know any other programming? Like only Python is needed, yes, but
Yes.
will be a person to learn if we put our effort every day, because I have 12 hours in a day at the moment because I'm jobless right now since almost a month because of the situation where I am. So I thought this is a fruitful period for me to upgrade myself, because when we work in IT, we generally don't get time to upskill ourselves because of what work they give to us. So I feel like if I learn this, maybe as a solution architect, as what Chandra sir told, maybe I can position, or if there's a need, I can go ahead. But moving from IICS to completely into Azure, they might not take me in, right? Because my experience is 10, and if I position 2 or 3, as based on what you said, based on my hard work and based on how much dedicated I am from past 1 month, even if I do it, will they position, if I position as, let's say, for example, 7 years into Informatica Power Center and cloud, and 2 or 3 years into Azure, still they have to pay me more package rather than me. They can take 2 to 3 years of experience folk as well, right? So how will I pitch in? You got my question, right? How will I get an opportunity to work on Azure?
See, so that is a very, I would say, like a generic question. So, see, it's not only applicable to Informatica or Azure, right? For any field, the companies do have an option to go for cheaper options, right? But then it depends on you to create that value for yourself, right? So even I am from IT background. I work in IT sector, so I can tell you, you have to create that position for yourself, that value for yourself, right? Where your organization values you. And when you say you're moving away from Informatica to Azure, I don't think that is the correct picture over here, because at the end of the day, both are helping you to do data engineering, right? They have their own tools, they have their own functionalities, they have their own benefits, they have their own pros and cons, if you can call them. But then to say that you're shifting is not correct. More like you're adding to your skill set, right? And when you add more to your skill set, then you're going to become a part of that large demand that is out there for Azure data engineer. Even if today you go to LinkedIn or Naukri.com or anywhere, you just put the keyword Azure data engineer, you will see a list of jobs, right, from all sorts of organizations. That they need a data factory expert, they need a Databricks expert, they need Azure data engineer who must be certified in 203, right? So that is where my point in getting the certification lies, that a lot of organizations, while posting for jobs, they're like, we want let's say if you're looking for an Azure administrator, right, or a solutions architect, we need AZ 104 certified or AZ 305 certified, which is a solution architect certification, right? So when I say certified, you are going to become eligible for those roles where certification is important, right? Eventually, you don't need certification to increase your skill set, right? But then it is a plus when an organization like Microsoft is giving you a credential certifying that this particular person has enough knowledge to be called as an Azure data engineer, right? So
I completely understand. Yeah, I think you're giving a complete good holistic picture. But only thing was, in order to crack the interview, maybe if I work in a company, in an organization where I've been associated with 2 to 3 years, if I have a good rapport with manager and I can say that, hey, I need to get upgraded into cloud, you give me the opportunity, then I might be a right fit. But now, since I'm jobless, they cannot take me for Azure. So that was something which which is pointing me. But maybe as a value added, I just have to learn Microsoft Azure, because I don't know any cloud, because even Informatica Cloud sits on either on GCP or on Amazon or on Azure. But Azure, what exactly it does, I am not aware. So I thought if I learn not in terms of cracking the interview, maybe for a knowledge purpose, only for a person,
yes,
for
yes,
me, like
absolutely.
let's say
Yes,
10
yes.
plus years experience. To junior folks, yeah, it is a wonderful opportunity. But for someone who's senior, it's kind of a value added where I can go ahead and upskill myself, right, Shreyas?
See, I know people who have 25 years of experience and are learning Python right now. So that is never a problem, right? And I understand your problem completely from where you're coming from and the motive that you may have in mind for this particular course. But I would just let you know that if you have the luxury to attend this course, please do.
Mhm.
It is going to be beneficial for you. All right. Apart from that, I am not a like a career expert or a placement expert. I can guarantee you that if you do this, you're going to get that. That I cannot do, but I am definitely promising you
No,
that
I
at the end
completely
of
agree, Shreyas.
30
Yeah, yeah.
days, at the end of 30 days, you
Mhm.
will have your skill sets expanded.
Mhm. No, I don't need to wait until 30 days. So I just need only 10 minutes to absorb how a trainer is, how I can judge it. Based on how you have explained on the lot of dimensions which you spoke, right? That is what is making me, it is haunting me to get into this course right away rather than thinking twice, because the way how you have explained, it's not theoretically, you're coming across on the corporate project experience examples, you're giving real-time examples, you're giving basic example where a layman can understand, you're covering holistically. So a person like me, I can easily pitch in and learn. And only thing was, maybe if I wait and have patience, if I'm jobless for another 2 more months, then I can crack a very good interview, because right now the market situation is not that good. Maybe after US election, probably in September or October. Until then, if I'm upskilled rather than wasting my time, so then it would be as a complete package where I know this and that. So I got your point, Shreyas. Yeah,
Yes. If you have
perfect.
time, please always upskill. That is going to help you in the longer run.
Yeah, because if
Others.
I'm working in a company,
Mhm.
right? So thank you so much. That's it from my end.
Yeah. Thanks, Vinod. Others, if you have any questions, we'll take them.
Hello, hi Shreyas.
Mhm.
Yeah, myself Ranjit here. So actually, initially I have learned Informatica. So
Mhm.
after that, I have switched to Azure. I mean
Mhm.
Azure Data Factory and Databricks, and now
Mhm.
we are currently working with SSIS as well. So my question is like, what and all services provided in Azure you will be covering?
See, so as I told you, we'll start from the very basics. When you're studying, let's say the course initially is aligned to DP 900. So when we talk about DP 900, we talk about the basics of Azure. We talk about MySQL, we talk about Azure SQL, we talk about Cosmos DB, we talk about Azure Storage Account. So these are all different services within Azure, like, but these are the basic services. These are the data storage services that you get. We are not at all talking about data analytics or data processing tools as of now, right? Then when we go to, let's say, your data engineering section, and we start talking about data lakes, right? What is a data lake gen 2? What is a data factory? What is synapse analytics? What is uh, event hub, right? And what is Databricks? So all of these services within Azure, which help you with the transformation of data, we are going to talk about it in details. All right, with showing you, along with like during the lecture, showing you as to how a particular task has to be performed on the Azure portal, where you have to navigate, how you're going to perform that task. All of that will be shown to you, and then through the labs you can always go ahead and practice it on your own.
Okay, so here we will be covering with Azure DevOps as well, or
No, we this is not related to DevOps at all.
okay.
Hmm.
So Data Factory, Databricks, Synapse Analytics,
Hmm.
Data
Yes.
Lake, and these and all we will be covering, no?
Yes.
So and for and I'll finish my question. So for
Mm-hmm.
getting that certification,
Mm-hmm.
how much we will be capable after this training?
You can go ahead and write the certification after this training.
We will be
It'll be
clear.
yes, you'll be, see, data fundamentals, you'll be able to clear it in the very first attempt. You might not even have to study a lot for that. For data engineering, I will give you supplementary materials as well. I will give you practice tests. I will give you the real exam questions which have been asked, which is your dumps available. right? But I do not encourage people to go through dumps. It is more like if you go try to answer those questions and improve yourself, then it is fine. But never ever go through dump files and clear the exam based on that. Always clear the exam based on your knowledge, right? So at the end of the day, I will share Microsoft Learn Paths as well along with you, so that you can go through the official Microsoft documentation, which is end to end aligned with this course itself, nothing extra, right? So whatever is asked in the exam, you will find the same thing in the Microsoft Learn documents. The practice test, official Microsoft practice test. If you want another question bank, I can provide you with that, and then exam questions, obviously. So that will be more than sufficient for you to clear this exam, and the hands-on experience as well. Please keep that in mind. The hands-on labs which are provided to you are also aligned with the certification exam of DP 203. All right. So if any
Okay.
question has to be asked in the exam related to hands-on experience, it will be related to the labs that you have done on the portal.
What is the cost of that exam, Shreyas?
It is around $200.
Okay.
Yes, it is $199 for DP 203.
Okay.
For I think your DP 900, it is much less.
Yeah.
Yes, it is $100 for DP 900. Yes, and 200 for your data engineer.
Okay. And actually, I have only one question. So you will be giving this session, I mean, for training, for pointing to certification or interview perspective?
We'll discuss the interview questions. We already covered that. So the point of the certification is to verify that you have the required skills to be called as a Azure data engineer, right? So eventually you will become an Azure data engineer. You will have all the skills which are required to become an Azure data engineer. All right.
Yes.
So with that, guys, if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out an ICIT Academy. They will direct all the queries to me, and will send you a response with the answer, obviously. But we are already 1 hour ahead of the scheduled time, so we'll be closing the session now. But feel free to reach out to an ICIT Academy in case you have any doubts or any problems. So I would like to thank.
One
Thanks,
last
Shreyas.
question. One last question,
Thanks for your
Shreyas.
time.
So I know there is you don't have any time right now, like for the morning batch, like any schedule for that. But any tentative time, like within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, like that.
So what Chandra suggested, it would be ideally after 15 days only.
After 50 days, okay.
Yes. So you can expect a minimum of 15 days gap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that will be
Now it
comfortable
is
for
only
me.
evening time.
Yeah.
Yes. For now, the first batch is the evening batch. But as Chandra said, if you are not able to attend it in the evening, right? If you want to attend the morning batch, we'll be launching it within next 15 days.
When it will be the timings?
The morning timings will be 7 to 8:30 IST. The evening timings would be 8 to 9:30 IST. So assuming that all of you have to go to your offices by 9:30 or 10 o'clock, right? So we'll make sure that we close the session by 8:30 in the morning.
And for regarding labs, like if I'm not able to work for a week, so that will not be a problem, right? Or that should be within the 2 months I need to complete.
Okay, so what I'll do is I will give you labs 2 weeks after we start the training. All right, so that we are done with fundamentals where you don't need labs, and we are 1 week into the data engineering. As at that point you would not require labs, right? Because we'll be covering storage and other services. So what we'll do, we'll give you the labs 2 weeks after the course has started, and then they will be valid for 60 days. I cannot increase the validity of the labs. They will expire in 60 days. All right. So please make sure
they'll be on cloud itself, right? The labs.
Yes, yes. So we'll be spinning up a virtual machine for you, and inside that virtual machine, you will be doing your labs.
Okay.
So all right, guys. Then
thank you so much, Shreyas, for your time, and we are really glad. And Chandra sir has included you into the NIC, so we were very desperate. I'm getting an opportunity, but it's already 10 past 35.
please go and have your dinner, and you've been continuously
Yeah,
talking.
sure.
Thank you so much.
Exactly. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in. It was a pleasure having all of you here with us today, and I hope to see you all in the class. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
yes.
you.